What's up, guys? I wanted to do a quick tutorial on Space Simulation Toolkit because I've seen a bunch of people on YouTube posting cool stuff and very few tutorials. It's very much a mess around kind of thing, but I wanted to give you a starting off point to start messing around. So I'm doing simulation of like shooting things at things, and I have chosen, I've modeled my projectile as an APFSDS round from like a tank. And it has you'll see there's two colors here. The first part is the penetrator, and then the second part is the actual rod behind it. So basically this first part is going to go in, and then the second part is going to follow up behind it to give it mass to go through. And when we hit space and we watch it go through, you'll see it goes and it eats into the plate, angles up a little bit, and it almost breaks through. Depending on the type of design that you use and how much material, you sometimes can get it to break through. This is also not a very angled plate, so you can play around with those values, but you see there that one went through. So now I'm going to show you the values and what's important in this simulation. So the first thing that's important is CDE heat. Basically this makes it so that your universe simulates heat. This is in planet mode, that's important to know. Basically when one material hits another, it'll generate heat, and you can use that to change the material. So I get rid of the excess material. Basically, I went into the material sand, and I gave it a lifetime of 1. And now anytime I want to get rid of something, whenever it reaches a certain temperature, what you do is you go into the material. So let's say I want the rod part of the APFSDS round to disappear as it gets hot. Well, then what we do is we mess with the T phase. This second number right here determines the temperature at which it will change into the material that's listed beneath it. So here, this 13 represents sand. So when this reaches 750 degrees, it will turn into sand, and I gave sand a lifetime of 1, which is extremely quick. So basically, it will heat up, turn into sand, disappear, and that's how I simulate the rod melting away as it, or being eaten away as it punches through the material. So that's the important thing, is you need to do that with the rod and the penetrator, and so I use earth as the rod and plant as the penetrator. And if you need to check out these values, just pause the video and take a look at these. The important ones are mass, that's basically how heavy it is, cpow. This is essentially how much it wants to push away from other materials. So if this is higher, the rod is going to curve up or down more because it's going to push away from what it's eating through. So you can play around with that. lpow, this is essentially kind of how durable the material is the best way to think of it. So like it can take more damage before it disappears, is kind of the way I think of it. S angle is basically the shatter angle. It causes it to spall and shear. This is really cool. You can play around with this, bump it up really high. Making it linked and adjusting the robustness changes basically how the rod deforms. And then, like I said before, the T phase, I explained that, and the M phase. These are important, so remember those. You can play around with this other stuff. That's on you. The plant, this is for the penetrator. cpow 800, mass 47, a little bit lower mass, higher cpow. lpow, much higher, 12,000. S angle, 16,000. This one is not linked. T phase, 1,000, turning into sand. So that's how the penetrator works. And then for the armor, I'm pretty sure stone is exactly the same as it comes by default in the game. Don't quote me. I think this does. I think I maybe did disable it, creating sand. I don't know. You can play around with that. The sand's gonna disappear anyway if you do what I said, so it's not that big of a deal. I know I did change the metal. That's the one thing you may want to play around with, is changing the lpow of the metal. I reduced that, and that allows you to punch holes through things easier, basically. You don't have to play with it, though, because when you do that, it'll turn it into particles, and then those particles can get in the way of the rod. So basically, it's just a big experimentation, but this is a very great starting point. And just to show you one more time, if you use kind of the values that I gave you, it's going to look a little something like this. and you see there we got a lot of nice spalling off of the back plate. So very fun to play around with, especially if you're into tanks and stuff. You can simulate bullets, all kinds of things. Very, very fun. You'll just have to tune the values. Yeah, that's it. Have fun.